This downer of a Transformers show is actually pretty good. AAA here, and today I am reviewing Transformers War for Cybertron Siege, the first season of Netflix's brand new Transformers animated show.
It's a life worth fighting for.
Like I mentioned already, this show is a bit of... No, it's not a bit. It's a real downer. Transformers War for Cybertron Siege really goes in on the war is hell aspect of war movies and TV shows. It is kind of really depressing from start to finish.
Honor will not win this war.
Now, this would be fine and all if the story had a bit more balanced pacing. As it is, about 95 or so percent of the story, the pacing, and the overall feel of the series is pretty much sad and depressing. Now I get it. The show is about how realistically war is terrible, and there are terrible consequences to it that everyone has to pay for. But the tone of the show is weighed down a bit too much by this. A serious show doesn't need to be like this constantly the whole time. A good example would be Netflix's own animated Castlevania series. The show is very serious, but the pacing and the tone is balanced well throughout enough that it never feels monotonous or boring or slow at any point. It balances the action, the drama, the sadness, and yes, even the comedy very well throughout. This show does not do a very good job at this at all. Like I said, it's pretty much just sad about 95% of the time. Even when there is all-out action on the screen, the overall tone is still sad, depressing, lost cause, and all this. Now, there is some comedy spread out through bits and pieces, but they're way too little and too far in between for them to really make a dent. Now, I'm not saying that they should ramp up the comedy, but again, a better balance between all these elements, the sadness of the story, the thrill of the action, and the comedy that can result in various characters' interaction with each other has to be balanced a bit more than just 95% sad, 5% every other emotion in the human spectrum, you know? I think, and this might just be me, but I think this is sort of a knee-jerk reaction to maybe the Michael Bay movies where it's way too hokey and jokey and almost never takes itself seriously. The opposite way, you know, it's 95% hokey and 5% super serious. I don't think the proper solution is to reverse this formula. There should be a happy medium in between all of this, but the thing that truly carries this series is the story. The story is actually very well told and very well executed.
The Allspark is a vessel of life in the hands of Megatron. There's no telling what he might do.
Around the third episode, it actually picks up very well, and it just reels you in, you know, it just catches you and reels you in. And you just want to know what happens next until the very last second of the very last episode, which is great. The story takes place entirely on Cybertron and focuses on the war between the Autobots and Decepticons, which we are told has been raging on for thousands of years. So both sides are very tired. The resources on the entire planet are pretty depleted, and there is a lot of desperation on both sides. The main two characters, of course, are Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots, and Megatron, leader of the Decepticons. Both are written very differently and very fascinatingly, in my opinion.
The circle closes, Prime. You are defeated.
Optimus Prime is written as sort of this charming religious zealot of a leader, very similar to Morpheus in The Matrix. Much of his character, his personality, and the decisions that he makes throughout the series is driven by his single-minded devotion to the teachings of his mentor, Alpha Trion, that he treats pretty much like a religion, such that even though a lot of what he knows does not make sense anymore for the current situations, he will still blindly go for it, very much like how Morpheus would be so devoted to finding the one, even though doing so might not be the most practical thing at the moment. Megatron, on the other hand, is written as this very brilliant and very practical, actually, military genius. He's not just straight up evil. He's actually charismatic and from time to time actually considers diplomacy very seriously. So I love the way that these two leaders are written because they're written in a very balanced fashion, unlike most of the other Transformers series that have been done before, where Optimus Prime is clearly the one you're gonna root for the entire time, and at the same time you're just gonna hate on Megatron. Here, you're actually not sure who to root for. The voice acting is also extremely solid throughout the series. And extra points go to Jake Fushi. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce your name, sir, and if I messed it up, I'm very sorry. But extra points go out to him for his portrayal of Optimus Prime. Aside from just the very good acting in general, he sounds very much like the original voice actor, Peter Cullen, most of the time throughout the series, which I very much appreciated as a longtime Transformers fan.
I cannot help but ask myself, is this a hopeless crusade? Have my actions led to the extinction of our people?
The animation and the action sequences in the series are also very good, but nothing too spectacular. You will never see anything that blows you completely out of the water. And although the animation and the action sequences are very good, in the end, they just simply get the job done. What does stand out, though, are the designs of everything. The designs of the Transformers and Cybertron are just brilliant.
Yes, a clean and decisive victory.
Primarily because of how close they respect and build upon the original Generation 1 designs, which are, in my opinion, still the best Transformers designs out there. After watching all 6 episodes, I just had to go back and watch the first 3 episodes of the original 1984 TV series, and I was astonished at how faithful everything in Transformers War for Cybertron Siege actually was. From the designs to how much they actually homage the original series. For example, in Transformers War for Cybertron Siege, the first 2 characters we see are Bumblebee and Ratchet. And when I watched the very first episode of the original 1984 series, I was pretty flabbergasted when I saw that the very first scene in that original series was almost exactly the same thing. And man, it made me respect and love Transformers War for Cybertron Siege even more.
I have done what I have to do to end this war.
And so, because of all this, I have to give Transformers War for Cybertron Siege, Netflix's brand new Transformers animated show, a 7 out of 10. It's very good, it's really good, but it needs a lot of improvements in various areas, primarily the overall tone and pacing of the story. If they just balanced that out a bit more, I could have easily given this at least a 9. However, I am really hoping that they do balance out the storytelling even more in the coming seasons, Earthrise and Kingdom, which are coming soon, but unfortunately still don't have release dates. Now, I am really looking forward to these upcoming seasons because of how faithful this whole War for Cybertron trilogy seems to be to Generation 1 in particular in the Transformers lore. And I'm very much interested to see how they mix things up because I have heard rumors that Season 3, aka Kingdom, will feature the Beast War Transformers and storyline in some capacity. So I'm wondering how they will shake up the Transformers lore and storytelling while still pretty much staying faithful to Generation 1.
end this war. Now.
What did you think of Transformers War for Cybertron Siege? Did you love it or did you hate it? Let me know in the comments. And this has been Asian Action Actor. If you like my review of Transformers War for Cybertron Siege, please click like down below and subscribe to see more of my awesome content. And while you're here, you might want to see the other reviews that I have already done on my channel.